Casting a shadow over all of sports, it's huge. Sportsblimp.
Hey everyone, it's Will Regan here in the Sportsblimp.
A week of sports in a minute.
Hi, I'm Eric Rentman here with Will for another edition of the sports news that's making history today. Let's talk about sheep tennis. The season just about getting underway, but not without a little controversy this year.
Yes, I don't think the Grandmasters final between Bjorn Winkelrider and Carlos Andretti is decided yet, do you?
Well, actually, it was Andretti that took home the cup.
People are still talking.
What they're talking about is, was Andretti's ewe grazing on the grass, and does that mean that the trophy should go to Winkelrider?
It's simple. A sheep caught grazing is an automatic disqualification.
People are asking, should we be playing sheep tennis on a grass court? I mean, it's really kind of entrapment, you might say.
I'm a traditionalist here. The finals of sheep tennis have always been played on a grass court. If your flock have made it that far, they have a focus few sheep can even dream of possessing, and they know they can have a little nibble between sets.
And also, Bjorn took issue with the line judge, who he says was napping during that controversial serve that won Andretti the match.
He was counting the sheep on the court. That's why. That line judge has always had it out for Bjorn ever since last year when Bjorn's serve landed in his mouth. Am I right?
You know where those balls have been.
On the other hand, Andretti, I mean, here's a guy, it's his year. He's always been in the shadow of his famous father, Mario Andretti. So I feel for him a little bit. He's finally had some success in his chosen path. And let's face it, it's the path less taken. Sheep tennis is not up there with F1 racing or whatever his father does. Look, I'm just glad he had a chance to prove himself, albeit with a controversial win, in a no less exciting sport.
There's no question about that.
It's got the speed, the power, the strategic placement of sheep. It's why people call this the sheep herder's tennis, or the rich man's sheep herding.
Or, as some call it, the old man's polo. And I've got my share of sheep tennis memories, too, like when Jorn Tripper retired his ram Sammy.
I remember Sammy. He was a big one with great horns.
Great horns, right. When he was sheared, they made a sweater with his face on it. I bought it on eBay.
Sammy's face or Jorn's face?
It was kind of hard to tell them apart, really. Let's talk about the other events this year. In a season of sheep tennis, you have some doozies there. You've got the 3 Grand Slam tournaments, the pre-shorn majors in Australia, the French Open, which is played in a mysterious location, and the U.S. Open, which, of course, is played in Florida.
That's how people in Florida were first introduced to sheep. All they knew about sheep were those sheep seat covers. Remember those?
And, of course, the celebrity tournament.
Oh, yeah. Who's playing this year?
Maggie Smith, Dame Edith, Anthony Hopkins, Jack Nicholson, and a special treat, German Chancellor Angela Merkel.
That's not the first time we've had a politician in sheep tennis. Bob Dole famously took up the racket and saddle in his days at the University of Kansas before World War II.
He received the battle ribbon for his participation. Actually, last year, the celebrity event was particularly fun, with the one exception of Dolly Parton's sheep, who suffered a sneezing fit during the event. I think it was allergic to Dolly's gingham hoop skirt.
And did you know that Dolly Parton's sheep was in fact Dolly the sheep? The famous clone sheep? Humans aren't the only ones with celebrities in these tournaments. I'm glad to see they made a team. It's great to see that.
Well, it's time for a word from our sponsor. Larry Scrun's Old Beaters Are Better used car lot and lawnmower repair in Tinley Park, Illinois.
Well, you know what they say, Larry Scrun's rhymes with runs, and if it runs, don't knock it, no matter what it looks like. If it gets you to work and church, that's all you need. Larry says, why pay extra to impress people? What was good enough for your great-grandpa should be good enough for you. This week's special is a 1951 Hudson Hornet. There was a time when this car was about the fastest thing on the highway. Rub-a-dub-dub, it looks like a tub, but downhill it can scoot. This beauty features 4-wheel brakes, automatic self-canceling turn signals. If you're okay with only turning left, come drive it today, but call ahead so Larry can warm it up. And here's a special offer for our high school seniors. If you're going to the prom and need a ride your date will talk about for months behind your back, ask Larry about his rent-to-own option. Be sure to tell him you heard about it on Sportsblimp.
Now, let's move on to the keys to the game. Will, what do you see as the keys to the game for today's squat ball match between the Beloit Bashers and the South Bend Short Pants?
Squat ball is an unforgiving game. It has a way of leveling justice, punishing those who are unprepared and attempt to hide from the threat of competition. A guy on the bus said that to me this morning, and I couldn't disagree more.
Really?
Well, in fact, the only way to survive in squat ball is to be deceptive, to fool your competition, and that's what Beloit has to do against the Short Pants. The Bashers just don't have the defense, since they have been unable to replace their injured defensive players.
They're up against Rule 32.
They've already replaced 32 disabled players this season.
I heard that double blocker Amos Udava-Motzley's kid brother is filling in for him today.
Rule 32 does not prevent teams from notifying next of kin and actually drafting them to play.
Most against their will.
So his little brother is going to have to step up if they're going to win.
Now, the Bashers do have some real attack dogs.
And of course, when you're talking squat ball, attack dogs is not a metaphor for an aggressive player. There will be dogs, the kind you keep in a junkyard.
Yep, the Bashers' kennel keeps a worthy pack of dogs for the all-out fourth quarter when there's no holds barred.
The squatter has to brace himself not only against a 340-pound slammer, but the rabid dogs following behind him. This is why the sport is not televised anywhere in the world.
And that's why it's banned in most countries, including Bahrain. Hey, remember last year, squatter Vince Stoner stood his ground against the slammer and then tossed some bacon-bit doggy treats toward the referee.
This was not something I would want to watch again.
And the ref shouldn't have tried to eat one.
Note to self, bring a granola bar to work. He either wasn't watching the game or he was literally blind. Sometimes squat ball reaches out to the Blind Referees Union.
The only professional sport league that does. Hey, we just got the word that Basher coach Dr. Lester Cotton will be on the sidelines for this game.
That's good news for Beloit. What do you think? Does this guy look too fragile? I can't believe he was once a player.
No, he was the team physician.
Anyway, last week when the Bashers won the division playoff against the Thugs, the team did the usual Gatorade dousing.
And he just collapsed. The weight of the drink pouring over him knocked him to the ground.
It was like the Wicked Witch in that movie.
The Yellow Brick Road. You're talking about the Wizard of Oz?
No. What was... Oh, God, what was that? The Girl and the Lion in the Wardrobe. And that's what it was.
Anyway, I want to commend our own Edith Piloff for her great reporting.
From the ambulance. That was great. We could hear the siren and the whole thing.
But more importantly, her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation just may have saved the day for the coach.
May have been the key to today's game, at least for him.
And let's look ahead to next time. Exciting, bone-jarring squat ball action will thrill the crowd.
The Sportsblimp is taking position over Lefty Bail Bonds Memorial Field for this important matchup.
We'll have our A-team in place to bring you every last gut-wrenching detail.
Our color analyst and man on the ground, eye, ear, nose, and throat specialist Hiram Grundig will be filling us in the action and the injuries from ground level.
You won't want to miss this one.
Until then, this is Will Regan along with Eric Rantman wishing you more than a sporting chance
on the Sportsblimp All Sports Network. Sportsblimp is produced and distributed with a grant from the Goodyear Dirigible Company in Bucyrus, Ohio. Many of America's other favorite sports are played in the shadow of the Sportsblimp.